So we're using HTML form validation using required attribute. Okay. So but when it comes to client specific, okay, so client will not be happy with this HTML, okay, maximum time, so they will ask us to go for a custom validations. Okay, how to do custom validations we will see today. So to do custom validations, I will use external JS. Since I told you in the beginning, so till now we have discussed only a small applications. Okay, so we were using in internal JS basically, but this time since we have a simple form, so we will prefer external JS. So I will create an external JS. So like script script.js. Okay, so once you created this script.js, okay, so I will remove it. So try to attach the JS file at the last of the DOM. Okay, what if I try to put the script file before the elements? I can do it here also, I can join it here also. Okay, if I attach it, I can attach the script files, but before reaching this body, like this HTML elements, the script file will execute and it will throw errors because it doesn't have any HTML elements to select, because the JavaScript, so the total document will be parsed from the top to bottom. Okay, first it will execute the script immediately once whenever it finds the script tag on the time. So whatever the fields we have here, so whatever the fields, that fields cannot be able to select because those fields memory has not been created inside the DOM, right, in our browser. Okay, so it will throw errors. So these errors I have seen in real time. Okay, so try to attach your script files at the last, your custom script files, okay, at the last of this. So you can put this script file anywhere inside this HTML, it will execute, no issue, even outside the body also it will execute. Okay, this is the best place. So have a script tag. Next, how to attach this script file, the script.js. Okay, so we'll use source attribute, right? Source attribute. So I'll set the path dot slash script.js. Okay, let's save it. Okay, now I have attached the event. First thing is, guys, first we need to select the input fields. How many input fields we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 input fields. First I will select all the input fields, okay, using DOM selection methods. Okay, see, so this is the first input. Okay, so for your full name, this is the first input field, input tag. So what is the ID I am providing here? Name value. See, every input field has a unique IDs, right? So based on these IDs I will select the input fields. Okay, so I'm selecting the input for full name. I am selecting the input field for, so this is a single tag, right? Input is a single, yeah, img, image tag, input tag, these are all the single tags. We don't have closing tags for these things. Okay, next input for the password, and input for the phone, like these things. Along with also we have an error span. See, what is the span? Span is an inline element tag, right? So if you want to add an error messages, so I will use a span. So whatever the error message, I am going trying to put it below this input field. So that's the reason I'm using span. Okay, so even every span has an error. Since my major plan is to provide error inside this span. Okay, so that's the reason I am using a phone hyphen error. Okay, so for all these input fields I have these two things are common. Okay, input tag as well as span tag. Okay, so I have designed such a way. Okay, so next, yeah, so there are 1 2 total 5 fields. Okay, so selection, we have directly we can able to select any one of this, male or female. So first I will try to select the, see, I'm using a variable. Okay, so I told you what is the advantage of variable. So we can do a selection at once and we can reuse it everywhere, right? So name value, name value is equal to, so document dot get element by id. Okay, what is the id? I'm selecting the first one. So try to copy paste it. Okay, sometimes humans make mistakes. Okay, so to avoid these things, so try to copy paste. Since span, what does it exactly does? It will add an element. So my plan is to add an error message. Okay, so I will try to add an error message inside this span. Okay, so that's the reason. So what is the ID using? Name value. Since it's an element, so this get element by ID, specifically I'm selecting ID. I don't need any notations. Just the ID name is fine enough. Okay, so it's how I have selected name value. Next, const. See, I will use email value. See, the nomenclature should be properly. If I see these things, so I can easily comes to right. So I am selecting, I'm storing a name input field inside this variable, email input field. So the same thing. So it's an email hyphen value. So name, email. Next, password. I use pwd password value is equal to document dot get element by id. So what is the id for password value? Name, password, right? So pwd hyphen value. Next, password mobile, right? Mobile value is equal to document dot get element by id. I think it's a phone hyphen value. Yes, phone hyphen value. Next, mobile. Next, gender value. Okay, const gen value is equal to document dot get element by id. So what is the id for gender? With selections. So gender value. Next, the final one, occupation, right? So I'll use occupation value. Document dot get element by id. What is the id for occupation? Occupation value, occ hyphen value. So now I have made a selection. Okay, now I have made a selection. Next, I will select this button as well also. This submit button. Okay, what is the id? Submit button. Okay, const use add btn is equal to document dot get element by id btn. Okay, see, now I made the selecting. So I'll put in comments since it will really helpful. So basically I'm using selecting input understood. So basically I am doing a input, I am selecting an input field. Okay, now so this input has been selected. So again, I want to select the error fields also, right? So we have this error fields. Okay. So I'll use the error fields. So I'll select this one, copy, selecting error. See, I am doing all the selection in the top of the file. Okay. So first I will select it. I will store it in a separate variable. So later we can use it in our code. So this is the best way of practicing. Okay. So since and instead of value, I will prefer errors. That's it. Name error is equal to name hyphen error. Next, email error is equal to email error. Next, password error should be equals to password error. You can go and check in the document. Okay. So the same IDs I'm using here. Okay. So don't get confused where I'm writing here, all these things. Next. So instead of mobile value, I will use a phone value. Okay. So here I'll use phone error. Error. Next, I'll use gen error. Okay, so here is also I'll use gen error. Next, occupation error. Next, I'll use OCC error. Okay, I have made a selection for all the input fields as well as error fields. Okay, now I am trying to write for I am trying so I am trying to write a validation functions now. Validation function. See, I will try to write a validation function for only one input field. So remaining will be the same maximum time. So it will be exactly the same. Okay. Try to understand only the one input field. So validation function for name field. Name field. Okay, I'll write a simple function declaration function. So function name is like validate name. Validate name. So basically, what I'm trying to do is like, so whenever I try to enter an input field, when I try to provide an enter an input field, for every keystroke, I want to get the current value of the input field. Okay. See, you know how to get the value of an input field. Okay. So we have made a selection. Okay. We have made a selection. Okay. So from this one, for every keystroke, so what is the event we are using? Key up or key down. So I'm going to use input field an event key up. So for every keystroke, I will get the current value from the input field, from this input field. Okay. So first I will try to get this one. See, so where does our value stores? Inside our name value, right? So name value dot value. See, I'm using a local variable. So this is a local variable. So don't worry about these variables for now. Okay, now if I create a variable inside a function, that variable is only available inside the function, not outside the function. Okay, so again we have a separate class for scopes and scope chain. There I will explain global variables, functions, and block level scopes. Okay, these are the three variables we have. Okay, for the time being, we have a function variables. If I declare a function, see this one, name is a variable. So this name is only available inside this curly braces, means inside the function body only, not outside it anywhere. Okay. So name value, see, I've made a selection, right? Name value dot value. Understood? So name value, what is the value stored inside this document get element by ID of name value. See, whenever I try to provide, I'll show that. Okay, see, observe. I have a function, so means basically I'll print that name. Whenever I try to provide the input, you'll understand. Okay, I have a function. I have an input field. How to attach an event for this input field? Okay, I have selected a name, right? So name value dot add event listener. So what is the event I'm looking for? Every keystroke I will use key up. What is the function I want to call on the time? Validate name. Understood? See, for so if something is happening, some keystroke is happening inside this input field on the time every time, so this function will fires. This function will execute. Okay, what does exactly it's capture the current values for a first keystroke. Observe. See, observe. For every keystroke, it will capture the value and print it in the console.
So we're doing it for all of the fields.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
for each field will be predictive text, something
Yes.
like that.
Yes. For all of the input field, so we were using the same thing.
And then so there should be one for input and one for error.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So name value dot get element by ID. Why it's not executing? Is it event attached properly or not? First thing I want to know it. If it is events attached, so first it will print hi. Yes, it's attached. Yeah, it's coming. Maybe I have not saved properly. Okay, see, for every keystroke it will capture the current value of the input field. See, observe. Understood? How to attach an event and how to get the current value. See, I told you in the beginning why we are using a name value. See, if I do a selection, so I can do it in a, I can select it in the multiple fields, so the same variable. So if you're using a document dot get element by ID, so I have to use the document dot get element in the two places also. So since I have done a selection in the beginning, I have stored it in a separate variable inside name variable. So every keystroke I want to capture the event. I want to capture the value. See, document dot get element by ID dot value. So whatever the value I am providing it will stored as a string. The data type should be a string. Okay, even if you provide a number, it will stored as a string for all the input. So whatever an input you're providing for the input field, that will stored as a string. So where, so if how to capture that value, so that first that element, the input element using an ID selection dot value will get the value stored inside this input field that I am going to store inside a name variable. That name variable I'm going to print it here. Any doubts here? Yes, dot value, yeah. So document dot get element by ID dot value, you will get the current value of the input field. So on that keystroke, see. So for the first keystroke, what is the value stored here? M. I'm just printing M. Next, what is the second? value which for the second keystroke, so it will store EMA. So this is the second one. The first one, the second one. So I am capturing the current value for every keystroke. What is the value stored inside this input field? I am capturing it and store it in a name variable. Okay, I'm just printing it. Okay, fine. Next, so now we will use a string methods. You know about strings, right? So today we are going to discuss everything what we have learned in the beginning, from the beginning, string methods, all these things. Okay. Now tell me, how do you say this name input field is empty? If I say, so this is an empty field, how do you decide? Of course, by seeing I can easily tell it's an empty field. But programmatically, how can you say it's an empty field? Means, yes, we were using length property, right? So it will try, basically it will try to capture the string. If the string length is equal to 0 means the user didn't provide any input. Understood? So first I'll check. So where is I'm storing, where I am storing the value? So inside this name, right? So I'm getting the value of the whatever the input field value I'm storing inside a name variable. So name dot length is equal to 0 means I want to throw error. Means user didn't provide any input field. I'll remove this one. So first validation. So I will take a if block, conditional block. Okay, if name dot length. If name dot length triple equals or double equals. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, if you need a strict comparison, we are using a triple equals. So since both are the length is always you return, and then the length property will always returns and numeric, so you can use double also. It's up to you. Okay, triple or double. So if double equals to 0, if it is a 0, now I have made a selection, right? The span, the error. So there I am going to add a text content. Means name should be required. Okay, how to add this one? See, name. So where did I select all these error selections? So name error. Okay, name error dot inner HTML. So inside this span, I am going to write inner HTML. What is the difference between inner HTML and outer HTML? So inner HTML, I am going to write the content inside the element. Outer HTML, it will remove the element and it will replace with the new value, right? So this is the difference. So I'll use inner HTML. I'm trying to write the content inside the span. Okay. So is equal to. So this is the string. What is name? So this is error message. Name is required. Okay. So now okay, since I am using a JavaScript for validation, so this required attribute is not at all required now. Okay, I will remove that one. So everywhere, because I am having a custom own error messages, why should I go for the HTML one? I'm not at all requiring. So I'll just remove this one. So it will, even if it is there also, no issue, but it's not at all required. Fine. I have removed all the required input fields. Okay, so I'm trying to provide the name. So error message, and also since user is not providing a valid data, I should not allow this button to be enabled. Right? See, if any one of the field is not valid, so there is no point of enabling the button. If it is enable the button, so definitely the user is going to submit the form, right? I want to disable this button also. Whenever an error comes, I want to disable the button. So inside this if block, I will try to disable the button. Okay, so I have made a selection for the button. Okay, now I'll use C add button dot, it should be disabled. Disabled is equal to true. Basically, it's going to disable the button. Okay, and also immediately